Baudrillard's Simulacra and Simulation invites us into a world where the boundary between reality and representation is increasingly blurred, where the real is no longer a foundation for the image, but rather, the image becomes reality itself. Baudrillard's philosophy revolves around the idea that in the postmodern world, we have moved beyond simple representations of reality and into a world dominated by simulations. Hyperreal copies that no longer reflect anything real but exist in their own right. But what does this mean for us? Are we living in a world of illusions? Can we even trust what we experience? The key concepts of simulacra and simulation are simulation and hyperreality. Baudrillard argues that in earlier times, signs, whether they were images, symbols, or narratives, were mere representations of something real, something grounded in physical reality. But now, signs no longer reflect reality. They create their own truth, and we live in a world of hyperreality, where the simulated becomes more real than the real. Think about advertisements, social media, and news. Each of these is a world of its own, shaping the way we think, feel, and act, not by mirroring reality, but by constructing a version of reality that is more compelling, more attractive, and more comfortable. The lines blur until we can't distinguish the real from the fake. It's as if we're living in a world where everything is a copy of a copy, with no original to return to. Baudrillard's famous example comes from the world of Disneyland. He argues that Disneyland isn't just a theme park, but a perfect example of hyperreality. Disneyland presents itself as a world of pure fantasy, but it does so in a way that naturally reflects the values and conditions of the real world. And because it does, we can no longer separate the real from the fake. Disneyland is the fake that reflects the truth about how we, as a society, choose to live, fantasize, and escape. Baudrillard goes on to define simulacra, the representations or imitations of people, objects, or experiences. These simulacra don't just distort reality, they replace it. One example Baudrillard uses is the media's portrayal of war. The media doesn't report the true horror of war. It constructs an image of war that has more to do with spectacle than reality. A battle becomes an image to be consumed, edited, packaged, and delivered to the masses, disconnected from its true, devastating nature. We consume images, not experiences, and as we consume, we find ourselves less and less able to distinguish between what is real and what is simulated. The simulacra pile up like layers of paint on an old canvas, each one covering over what was once the real. Reality is so overwritten by simulations that we forget the original even existed. But Baudrillard's argument is more than a critique of media or technology. He is arguing that we are at a critical point where the distinction between reality and illusion is collapsing entirely. The real world is now just another simulation, a set of codes and signs. Even our deepest, most profound experiences, our relationships, our emotions, our sense of identity, are influenced and mediated by these simulacra. In this age of hyperreality, we can no longer say what is authentic. Authenticity itself has been emptied out. Take, for example, reality TV shows. These shows present themselves as real-life situations, but in reality, they are carefully crafted simulations of reality, designed for entertainment and spectacle. We watch them, enjoy them, and perhaps even relate to them. But do we ever question the fact that they are not real at all? Living in this postmodern condition, Baudrillard invites us to question our perceptions of the world. Are we free agents making informed decisions about our lives? Or are we mere players caught up in a world of endless simulations? Every time we engage with a piece of media, a social media post, or even a conversation, we're participating in this web of images and representations. What happens when we realize that we are not just passive recipients of these simulacra, but active participants in creating them? Perhaps, Baudrillard would say, the more important question is not whether we should reclaim the real or escape this hyperreality, but rather how we can exist within it without losing ourselves to it. Can we still carve out spaces for genuine human experience, or are we forever ensnared in a world of artificial realities? Simulacra and Simulation forces us to confront a world that increasingly feels as though it is made of nothing but illusions. Layers upon layers of artificial representations that, for all their falseness, have become our new reality. But Baudrillard's work also gives us a new lens through which to see our existence. It's a call to wake up from the dreamlike haze of hyperreality and understand how deeply intertwined our lives are with the simulacra we've created. The question isn't whether we live in simulations. It's how we navigate this complex, ever-shifting world.